So Les in Orange, California had asked a question before we went to the break, and he said, what would it be like if he, as a Filipino, were to walk into a Black Lives Matter protest holding a sign that says unborn Black Lives Matter too, or words to that effect? And I said, well, of course, it would depend upon the composition of people, personalities, and, how willing would they be to tolerate a message like that. And it just so happens that we have a video of somebody who did. It was a black man who came up to this hospital or this medical center where all of these physicians and nurses are standing outside with their signs for Black Lives Matter. And he comes up to them and he asks them a few questions. So keep in mind, these are medical professionals. He is a black man. You don't see him, but you hear his voice on camera. And listen to the questions that he asks these people.
Lives matter or just some black lives? The black lives killed by black men matter, right? Yes? The black babies killed in the abortions clinics matter, right? Thought so. The black officers killed by that bastard in Minnesota, that matters too, right? Okay. But the black babies that are killed in the abortion clinics don't matter, do they, medical people? Do their lives matter? Does the future of our black babies matter? Huh? What's up? What's up? Awful quiet now, aren't they? Uh-huh. It's okay if we kill them in the womb, right? But you have a problem you don't seem to really have a problem when we kill them on the streets. Yes, well, we know they're the same issue. If we don't respect the lives of our unborn children enough to save them and fight for them, our lives mean nothing once we're born.
And he is absolutely right. Now, you need to see this. I just retweeted it so you can take a look at it. My Twitter feed is @PatrickMadrid. Honestly, take a look at this. It's been viewed nearly 1 million times. It's only a minute long. And by the way, this is courtesy of lifenews.com. They didn't take this video, but they're the ones that I saw it from. In fact, I think Kalen saw it first, so thanks for that, Kalen. But when you see this, you'll see this just glaring example of as soon as he brings up unborn black lives, they go silent. And they're just sort of like looking. They're all wearing masks, by the way. And most of them are holding signs that say Black Lives Matter. And so when he puts the question to them, what about unborn lives? Do they matter? They just go silent because they're confused and they're not sure what to say. And you notice he asks the question 2 or 3 times. And if you listen closely, you'll hear some of them saying, when he says, do unborn Black lives matter? Some of them say no, because that's what they're programmed to say. Because I guess they don't think that those are lives in any case. Just remember, at one time, George Floyd, the man who was killed by the police officer in Minneapolis, at one time, George Floyd was an unborn baby. Now, George Floyd is a hugely important, popular icon now. And people look to him, or they see him through the prism of the desire for change when it comes to racial inequality in this country. And for better or for worse, regardless of, whatever the extenuating circumstances may be, they see him in a way similar to, let's say, Martin Luther King, who was assassinated in 1968. They see him as a symbol of the need for change again, and to fight against injustice. He was once an unborn baby. So maybe a question that this gentleman could have asked these physicians. I mean, bravo to him, by the way. He did a great job, and I'm glad he did this because it exposes a curious lacuna in the whole ideology of Black Lives Matter, because many of the people who fiercely believe this, they're okay with the murder of unborn Black lives through abortion. They're okay with that. It's okay for them. So just next time you're in a situation like that, you might say, well, would it have been okay if we could have invented a time machine? If we invent a time machine that you could dial back, like Back to the Future, and you set it back to when George Floyd was still in his mother's womb before he was born. And keep in mind the argument that so many people use. Think about all the people who say, well, these children, or these blobs of tissue, because they don't like to talk about what they really are, these blobs of tissue, these clumps of cells, these unborn things, these entities, it's better off for them to be aborted because they're going to grow up and they're going to get into crime and there will be poverty and they're not going to have good opportunities. Yeah, well, how about they're going to grow up and be killed in a merciless way with a police officer kneeling on his neck for 8.5, 9 minutes while he's begging for his life. I mean, that's a very grim way to go out, no question about it. So it's worse than poverty. It's worse than not having opportunities. It's worse than whatever other things you can think about that people commonly say are reasons why you should abort an unborn child. So just juxtapose George Floyd and say, if we built a time machine and we could go back to when he was still in his mother's womb, by your same logic, shouldn't we have aborted him? Just imagine the crickets you would hear if you asked a question like that. Because it jams up the circuitry of this incoherence that we see in this 1-minute video with these doctors and nurses, etc., who are standing there protesting with their signs, Black Lives Matters. Many of them are black. It looks to me like most of them are black. And another black man comes up and puts these questions to them, and they go silent because they don't have an answer. Now, they're not going to be crass and say, when he says, do unborn Black lives matter? They're not going to be crass and say no, but that's really what they should say, just given their predilection for abortion, many of them. But they don't say anything because they realize at some level that their position is incoherent. And that's what he's pointing out. And that's why this is a powerful video. And that's why we played it for you. Let's go to Maria now, listening in Minnesota. Hi, Maria.
So the whole scenario of this one individual facing a group of medical staff outside with their own signs of Black Lives Matter, and he counters with the sign that he has. First off, just from hearing it, again, there's that whole feeling I get that it always gets dichotomized right away. Black Lives Matter, by history or historical purposes, very new organization, sort of, for that specific organization, was born. And their main premise is police brutality on Black Americans, or maybe Blacks in general, but for this particular organization, it's Black Americans. So there's a whole history behind that. And the birth of that organization is specifically for that premise. Now, when anyone, like the guy that had as much right, of course, to question them, whatever motivations they may have for coming up to the medical staff and countering it, that right away splits up the whole premise of why Black Lives Matter is called what it is born as an organization. There has not been...
What if Black Lives Matter was not allowed to be born? What if the movement were aborted before it could be born?
Okay. Again, this is where I'm calling, is because at what point do we just listen to that actual, I don't even know what to call it, but not a premise, but the mission of what that organization is all about. There's no line in there that says unborn Black lives don't matter.
But you notice that the physicians and the nurses, they fell silent when he asked that question. So, do Black lives matter? Yeah, absolutely. Do black men who are being killed by other black men, do their lives matter? Well, yeah, their lives matter. Do Black lives matter when police are killing them? Yeah, that matters. What about unborn Black lives? Silence, crickets. And he asked them 2 or 3 times. So I guess my reaction, Maria, is far from dichotomizing it. The man who asked this question, he did not dichotomize it. He's speaking to the whole picture. If it's true that all Black lives matter, then all Black lives matter, including unborn Black lives. You see, you have it exactly backwards. They're the ones who have dichotomized it, where they only care about certain Black lives And as evidenced by their silence, they really don't care about unborn black lives. That's the dichotomy. They're the ones who have chopped off a certain section of black lives, and they say, well, that group of black lives, that group doesn't really matter. It's these lives over here that really matter. So you see, the man who was asking the question, he was arguing from the standpoint that all black lives matter, not just some. So I see the dichotomy, but the dichotomy is on the part of those medical professionals, not on the part of the man who asked the question. You see?
On that thing of saying, on your part, you're saying all Black Lives Matter. And he was supposedly saying, oh, what about Black Lives on Black Lives? And there were some responses, and then silence. I think my point here again is trying to do a scene of whether it's looting in the news or whatever. I'm just trying to bring back the conversation as well to saying this is an organization specifically for police brutality on blacks, and that's their platform. So
let me ask you a question, Maria. Are you therefore saying that Black Lives Matter supporters only care about black lives insofar as there are people who are being brutalized by police, but no other black lives? In other words, all the other black people out there who are not being brutalized by police, that their lives don't matter? Or are they saying that all black lives matter?
In fact, when people counter with all lives matter and blue lives matter, we always say, or at least the organization, right? As I understand it, I haven't been active or not been there, but I'm trying to understand where they're at. I think as far as understanding, we have to just kind of listen.
I know, I understand that, Maria, but I want to get back to the point that you just made. Okay, you said that this is an organization that's born out of a desire to stand up against police brutality, however people understand it. Okay. Are you saying that Black Lives Matter as a movement and the people who support this movement, that they only care about the lives of black people who are harassed by police? Are those the only black people they care about?
They never said they only care about that. They never said that.
Well,
they
then
never
here
have.
we go.
They always...
Okay, so then the issue of Black Lives Matter being primarily dealing with police brutality, it's not a good argument. Because if Black Lives Matter means anything, then it means all Black Lives Matter. Doesn't it?
But why are we putting...
Well, wait, answer my question, please. With all due respect, if Black Lives Matter means that all Black lives matter, then what's wrong with this man who said that these black lives who are slaughtered in the womb in abortion, they matter too? What's wrong with him saying that?
Definitely. They matter. But this is not the platform for that.
Why?
So if we want to really
Why
understand, because there's platforms for abortion issues, right? And
do you realize, Maria, that the single greatest killer of black people, male and female, is abortion? It's not shootings, it's not drug overdoses, it's not sickle cell anemia. The statistics show that the single greatest threat to the lives of black lives is, I guess that's redundant, the single greatest threat to black lives is abortion. So how is it not pertinent to this issue that all black lives matter? How is it not pertinent?
Why is it now? It is not that it's not pertinent, Patrick. It's that the movement itself, specifically for police brutality on blacks, that's why we
So I go back to my question.
People will never understand.
But I go back to my question then. Are you saying then that the only lives who are really of concern to the Black Lives Movement are people who have been brutalized by police, or do all Black lives matter, regardless of whether or not they've been brutalized by police?
Do Black lives matter? Yes. Do all lives matter? Yes.
I'm not saying all lives. We're saying, do all Black lives matter? Or is it only those who are brutalized by police?
But we're going back to the definition of what...
That's just a simple question, Maria. I mean, you sound like a great lady. I'm sure we'd get along famously, but I don't know why you won't answer my question. do all Black Lives Matter? And are you saying that Black Lives Matter is restricted solely to defending the lives of Black people who are brutalized by police? Or do they believe that all Black Lives Matter, whether or not somebody's been brutalized by the police, they still matter? Which do you think it is?
Do all Black Lives Matter is your question. Yes, all Black
That's
Lives
not,
matter. But for
it's
this,
not the question I just asked you. I'm asking you, which is it? Is it just for police brutality, or is it for all Black Lives Matter? And if you believe it's for all Black Lives Matter, then it doesn't really make any sense for you to keep going back to the whole idea that Black Lives Matter as a political movement was born out of anger about police brutality. That's part of the picture.
for the same reason that you have March for Lives, or we go on marches for other issues. For that specific movement, let's listen and see why that is historically and why there's such a movement. Long time in coming, maybe. We haven't been listening to that whole 400-year thing. We don't inflect it with but we just don't inflect it and muddle their mission. This has nothing to do with what they feel about unborn Black lives. They never answered that. Yes, but that seems to be the focus that suddenly they weren't able to answer, because maybe in their heads it says, in their understanding, Black Lives Matter is about police brutality. This is not what that guy was now talking about and challenging them about and getting a reaction from them, that if they didn't answer yes, unborn Black Lives Matter, that would have been the response that he wanted, yes. But for them, maybe that's what stumped them, is that we believe Black Lives Matter is a movement for such, for police brutality on Black Lives Matter. So that's my point.
Well, let me interject. You'll notice that one of the questions he asked was, do Black Lives matter when it's Black men killing Black men? And they were, that matters. So they didn't restrict it just to police brutality. You see that their concern is more broad than just that. I think you're artificially restricting it to just that. I'm not sure why this issue of the abortion connection makes you uncomfortable, but the man who asked these people this question, he was the one who was trying to give a complete universal plea for all Black Lives Matter, all of them. And the dichotomy, or reducing it to only the appearance that only some Black Lives Matter, was on the part of those medical professionals.
Patrick, for sure he was talking about, his issue was to make sure that we recognize the unborn Black lives. That was his goal in that conversation. For the same reason that when he asked Black lives on Black lives, they had some responses. It's because, that's still under the premise of, because it could be a Black cop on killing, and there's been many instances like that, right? So this is specifically police brutality, not white police, not Black police. So even they're answering on the Black lives on Black lives, I can see, this is not about that I'm uncomfortable about abortion. I would just really want people to be able to kind of separate too. Let's listen to each movement, right? Blue Lives Matter, yes, there's been attacks on police. I'm all for that too, that we should also have some kind of protection for them for any senseless killing of police, let's just say. Again, that's a case-to-case basis. The Black cop on Black life, that goes into that category of that one question that guy asked, and whether they responded to that or not, which they did, because in maybe mentally, if I was one of them, that would still be in my understanding of Black Lives Matter, because again, it's brutality, police brutality. So
I have in front of me here, I have the Black Lives Matter about page up on the screen. And if you read through it, it doesn't say what you're saying. In fact, I'd like to read it to you, Maria. And this is from blacklivesmatter.com. Okay, you can go there yourself. Okay, here's what it says. It says Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer. Black Lives Matter Foundation, Inc. is a global organization in the U.S., UK, and Canada whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. By combating and countering acts of violence, creating space for black imagination and innovation, and centering black joy, we are winning immediate improvements in our life. We are expansive. We are a collective of liberators who believe in an inclusive and spacious movement. We also believe that in order to win and bring as many people with us along the way, we must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is all too prevalent in black communities. We must ensure we are building a movement that brings all of us to the front. We affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within black liberation movements. We are working for a world where black lives are no longer systematically targeted for demise. We affirm our humanity, our contributions to the society, and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression. The call for Black Lives to Matter is a rallying cry for all black lives, and that's all in caps, all black lives, striving for liberation. You'll notice, Maria, there's no mention of police brutality.
We are talking about systemic racism. So they are specifically looking into that whole institutionalized kind of racism that historically has been affronted on the black population.
And Maria, let me just say this, because I have to press on. I'm really glad you took time with me on this issue. I think our discussion has been very enlightening for people. I hope it has in any case. So thank you for that. But I'll just say this. There would be no black lives walking the streets if the black unborn lives were not being killed or were being killed. Because, let me put it this way, because unborn black people are being killed in the womb through abortion, there are so many more black lives that would matter but are not here because of that. The man who asked the question was right to do so. He was not the one who was bifurcating. He was showing how these medical professionals they're the ones who are bifurcating, because they're the ones who don't take into account, or at least won't take into account. They won't speak up for all those unborn black lives. So I hail him, whoever he was, whoever this man was who asked this question. I hail him for bringing forward a crucial part of the Black Lives Matter movement, at least it should be, because so many black lives are being lost through abortion. They never get a chance to make it to the streets. I'll give you the last word, Maria. Go ahead.
Patrick, I heard that, and I understand. I've read whatblacklives.com way before for me to understand the movement. My my thoughts are quite distinct in that this is not about discomfort about bringing up the issue of abortion in this arena, okay, except for when we also tone down whatever this movement is really, really talking about. And we should just really listen to what that's all about. Let's, for once, not always interject into the unborn only, you know.
But Maria, first of all, do you want to silence that black man? Is he not allowed to speak?
Not at all.
It sounds like you want to. Sounds like you don't want to hear his voice. He's a member of the black community, and he's as concerned about Black Lives Matter as any of the other members of the community, and he's bringing up a valid point. It sounds like you want to silence him. Well, then why are you saying that I'm not sure what you're saying then, because I want his voice to be heard, but you're saying no, that's wrong because you're turning it into abortion. So I'm not really sure which side of this you're on.
No. Just that for once, let's listen what Black Lives, without muddling everything to saying that if they didn't answer his question about the unborn child who's black, yes, we care for that too, right? I mean, everyone should care for all lives, yes.
Yeah, I have to go, Maria. It sounds like you want to silence his voice. Now, in your heart, I'm pretty sure you probably don't. But my understanding is that the premise of your position is that he shouldn't have said that because it's not germane to the conversation. How come it always has to get back to abortion? That kind of thing. I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree, Maria, but I really admire your pluck and your passion, and I'm glad you called today. Thank you.
This is just a small part of a much larger conversation. You can hear the entire call by visiting the link in the description above.